Hey, my rising sixth graders. So today we're going to finish our conversation about GCF with GCF Word Problems. So as you've probably seen in the past on benchmark assessments and different kinds of tests, GCF is not going to be asked for in just numbers, not usually. And when you get to middle school, this is especially going to be true. So I've printed out a couple of GCF word problems, and we're going to look at them today. All right. Oscar needs to ship 14 rock CDs, 12 classical CDs, and 8 pop CDs. He can pack only one type of CD in each box. He must pack the same number of CDs in each box. What is the greatest number of CDs Oscar can pack in each box? So, here we've got our last sentence says, what is the greatest number of CDs Oscar can pack in each box? What is the greatest number? So, if you read the problem, sometimes the problem can tell you a lot about how you need to solve it. What is the greatest number? The greatest common factor. So, we're going to list the greatest common factor of these three numbers. So, in the beginning of the problem, it says Oscar needs to ship 14 rock CDs, 12 classical CDs, and 8 pop CDs. And the question wants to know what is the greatest number of CDs Oscar can pack in each box. So, what are we going to do, guys? We went over this last week. Well, the week before last, because last week was spring break. So, if we're looking for the greatest common factor, we're going to list the factors. So, every number in the world has a factor of what? 1. Right. So, 1 times what is 14? And the answer would be 1 times 14 is 14. Now, 12 has a factor of 1. So 1 times what equals 12? 1 times 12 equals 12. And 8 has a factor of 1. So 1 times what equals 8? 1 times 8 equals 8. Alright? So now we're going to list the other factors. So 14's even. And if you remember from our last video, all even numbers can be divided by 2. Right. So 2. So 2 times what is 14? Or another way to say that is 14 divided by 2 is what? And 14 divided by 2, or 2 times what is 14, is 7. So 3 is not a factor, 4 is not a factor, 5 is not a factor because this doesn't end in 5 or 0. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, obviously. So we found the factors. So now what about 12? Well, 12 is also even. So even numbers can always be divided by 2. Very good. So if we divide 12 by 2, what do we get? 6. Oh. But, come to think of it, 12 has other factors. So we need to write that a little bit smaller. Because 1 works, 2 works, but 3 also works. And 12 divided by 3 is what? Or 3 times what is 12? 3 times 4 is 12. So our other factors are 3 and 4. So we say 5 doesn't work. We have 6. 7 doesn't work. 8 doesn't work. 9 doesn't work. All right. Now we move to 8. So what are the factors of 8? Well, 8 is even, and all even numbers can be divided by 2. So 8 divided by 2 is what? 4, right. Now, we've got all the factors of every number. So what does every number have in common that you see here? Right. Every number has a 2 in its line. So we're going to circle 2. If you don't want to, you're not hurting my feelings as long as you know that the greatest common factor is 2. So for question 2, we're going to write the greatest common factor is 2. And as you can see here, I wrote 2 just to make sure that we get the right answer. And we did. Now, let's do number 3. So number 3 says, I want to plant 45 sunflower plants, 81 corn plants, and 63 tomato plants in my garden. If I put the same number of plants in each row, and each row has only one type of plant, what is the greatest number of plants I can put in one row? So once again, we see that word, or those two words, greatest number. So the problem kind of helps us out and says, greatest, use greatest common factor. So we're going to use greatest common factor. But these numbers are a little bit bigger. So we're going to have a few more factors. Alright, so we're going to start with 45 because we had 45 sunflower plants. Then we had 81 corn plants. Then we had 63 tomato plants. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm from North Carolina, and we had a big garden growing up. I love me some tomatoes. So I wish we had 81 tomato plants, but that's okay. Okay, so we're going to list the factors of each of these numbers. So every number in the world has what as a factor? 1. So let's just put 1 on all of these so we don't forget. So 1 times what is 45? 1 times 45 is 45. 1 times what is 81? 1 times 81 is 81. And 1 times 63 is 63. Now, as you can see, I said 1 times 45 is 45. So the definition of a factor are two numbers that multiply together to give you the number you're looking for. So if 1 times 45 is 45, 2 doesn't work because 45 is not even. 3 doesn't work. Actually, 3 does work. And I'll show you the rule to see that it works later. But, well, actually, let me show you the rule to see that it works now. So if you add these two numbers, 4 and 5, 4 plus 5 equals 9. And 9 can be divided by 3. So we know the whole number, 45, can be divided by 3. So 45 divided by 3 is what? We might not know that off the top of our head. So let's think here. 3 goes into 4 one time with 1 left over. and 3 goes into 5 times with nothing left over. Or 3 goes into 15 5 times with nothing left over. Because 3 times 5 is 15. So 3 times 15 is 45. So now we got 3. 4 doesn't work. 5 works because it ends in a 5. And our rule says if it ends in a 0 or a 5, 5 will work. So 5 times what is 45? And we should know this one if we memorize our multiplication facts. If we didn't, then I posted a video earlier that tells you how to find the answer. So 5 times 9 is 45. So we've got all of our factors, and excuse my missing 9. Okay, so now 81 can't be divided by 2. It can be divided by 3 because, like I said, if you add these numbers, 8 plus 1 is 9. So 81 divided by 3 is what? Well, 3 goes into 8 twice. We have 2 left over. So 3 goes into 21 7 times. So 3 divided by 81 divided by 3 is 27. So we're going to put our 27 at the end. Now, 4 doesn't work, 5 doesn't work, 6 doesn't work, 7 doesn't work, 8 doesn't work, but 9 does work. And we saw that because 8 plus 1 equals 9. So 9's obviously going to work. So 9 times 9 is 81. Very good. All right, and that's all of our factors. Now, for 63, 2 doesn't work, 3 does work, because 6 plus 3 is 9. And 9 divided by 3 is 3, so it works. So now we're going to say, what is 63 divided by 3? Well, 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. So 63 divided by 3 is 21. So now we go on. 4 doesn't work, 5 doesn't work, 6 doesn't work, 7 does work. And that's a single multiplication fact, so we should know it. 7 times what is 63? Or 63 divided by 7 is what? 9. Very good. 9. All right. Now, as we can see here, okay, we have a little bit of a problem. So we have a 3 here, and we have a 3 here, and we have a 3 here. But is that the greatest common factor? No. It's just a common factor. It's one of the numbers that they have in common. But it's not the greatest. Because if you keep looking, if you keep going down the road, they also have a 9, a 9, and a 9. And that's the biggest number that they have in common. So we're going to circle our 9s or not, however you do it, as long as you get the right answer. So we know the greatest common factor is 9. And as you can see, I wrote on my paper, the greatest common factor is 9. Now, I just wrote these to remind myself. But anytime you're doing a word problem, it's really going to impress your teacher, and it's really going to make your teacher happy if you write these in complete sentences. So, we found out the greatest common factor is 2. So, you can either say the greatest common factor is 2, but that's not what it asked for. It says, what is the greatest number of CDs Oscar can pack in each box? Oscar can pack 2 CDs in each box. That would be a great answer. That would get you maximum points on your end of the year test, and that would impress your teacher. Now, for the next one. What is the greatest number of plants I can put in one row? Well, we found the greatest common factor is 9. So that means the greatest number of plants we can put in one row is 9. Or we can put 9 plants in one row. That would be a good answer too. So, this concludes our discussion about greatest common factor. If you need to refer back to my previous videos, please do. They're all on YouTube. They're on my website. If you don't, that's fine. But keep studying. Keep practicing your factors. Try to memorize your multiplication tables, because if you don't, by the time you get in 6th grade, you'll really have a problem, because it's not easy if you haven't memorized those multiplication facts. So next time, we're going to continue into LCM, or least common multiple, but it's going to be easy, don't worry. But until next time, study hard, get on Freckle, and I'll see you next time. Bye.